everyone, as we have said the last 2 weeks, that the immigration policy of the United States of America is broken. And because the federal government refuses to act, we have states taking matters into their own hands. Thus, we have the unjust law in Arizona. We believe, as people of good conscience, as religious leaders, that this is a moral issue. And that's why we are risking arrest. The first week, 16 of us were arrested. Last week, 37 of us were arrested. Today, 48 of us will be arrested. And we're going to keep getting arrested because we believe this is a civil rights issue of the 21st century. And so we are calling on the president to lead. We are calling on the president to do what he can in his capacity as the president of the nation. But we're also calling on Congress to enact just and humane, comprehensive immigration reform. We know that this country has many issues, and we know that people keep telling us to wait, but we have waited long enough. And if we don't get it now, the question is, when will we get it? We were promised immigration reform last year. It did not happen. And so this year we are demanding comprehensive immigration reform. And to send a message to Washington that we're serious, we are going to get arrested every week until something happens. Thank you.
Thus today we have the Manhattan Borough President, Mr. Scott Stringer, and also the Brooklyn Borough President. Mr. Stringer, and he will be followed by Marty Markowitz.
Okay, a little nervous that Marty Markowitz is in Manhattan, but no, it's not. I want to just say very briefly to all the advocates and activists and the people who believe that tolerance and peace is the cornerstone of this country, I find it very scary at this point in my life with a stepfather who happens to be Latino. The notion that my mother and Carlos would go to a different part of this country just because he looks darker than me, just because his Spanish is better than mine, that he could find himself pushed up against the wall and his American citizenship questioned, his status in this country questioned, given the service he has given to the United States of America. There is something wrong with a country that could put someone like that up against the wall and question whether they're an American citizen. This goes back to a different time in the 1950s when people questioned whether you were an American. This should stop now before it gets out of hand. It's about to stop now. Civil disobedience is a great part of the tradition in this country, and people have to understand that there's no turning back to civil rights of all people. So whatever your background is, no matter how you got to this country, no matter who your parents or grandparents are, the one thing that we can agree on is that whatever that governor is drinking or smoking or whatever she's doing in Arizona, she will not bring this country down. She will be out of office before long, and then people will breathe a lot easier. I commend everybody for being here today, fighting for the equal rights and social justice in this country. And now, the man who speaks truth to power, Marty Markowitz.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for allowing me to visit the outer borough of New York City, also known as Manhattan. First off, I come from the Republic of Brooklyn. Let me give you some statistics that the 2006 census showed, and no doubt 2010, it'll be increased. Almost 50% of the households in Brooklyn speak a language other than English, and 38% of Brooklyn's population are foreign born. Let me say it again. 38% of Brooklyn's population are foreign born. So let me thank Churches United to Save and Heal, the Black Institute, for speaking out against this recent misguided bill in Arizona. And I want to commend Cush and the Black Institute for speaking out for the rights of all immigrants, all Americans, regardless of race, creed, and nationality. It's unbelievable, and this bears repeating, but these days it cannot be repeated enough. We're a nation of immigrants. Unless you're a Native American, you or your relatives came here from somewhere else. And don't forget, Latino families in Arizona have roots that go back further than most of the others that live there. Way back before Arizona even became a state. We're a nation created by and for everyone in the world who longs for freedom and economic opportunity and a fresh start. And there's no way that America could have become the greatest nation in the world without the constant flow of new immigrants into our country. But the truth is, we live in a time where borders are a necessity. We need, as we all agree, to stem the tide of illegal drugs pouring into the United States, as well as those that are part of drug lords. We don't want them here, and every one of us agree. Or the possibility of terrorists getting through, no question about it. We have our challenges. We've all heard stories of terrible drug-related violence along the Mexican border. And we must do everything we can to prevent that violence from spilling into the country. And that is a sane, rational way of patrolling the borders and an immigration policy that makes sense. But let me be clear, the Arizona bill is not the right solution to the problem of our porous borders.
Thank you.
It will lead to discrimination, as we all know, against Latinos in particular, law-abiding Americans from every right to live here in the land of the free. The very idea that the United States of America, a country we all love, could be stopped, any individual could be stopped on the street and asked for their papers based on the way they look. Well, what can you say? I never thought I'd live to see a day like that in our beloved country. Now, this may be happening thousands of miles away in Arizona, but this law is nevertheless something we have to speak out against loud and clear, and that's why we're all here as one people, under God, one nation, under God. In Brooklyn, where we're proud home to everyone from everywhere, Latinos are the fastest growing immigrant group. Let me tell you, like all immigrant groups before them, they're injecting new excitement and new life into the Republic of Brooklyn. Any law that would make them feel less welcome, that would treat them as anything less than Americans, would be unthinkable. What we need is a smart, sane immigration policy. Congress of the United States, hear our voices today. Something that protects America without destroying the ideals for which it stands. One nation, under God. Thank you all very much.
Our next speaker is no stranger to jail. He spent 40 days in Vieques. I don't know how many of you remember that. But let us hear from Roberto Ramirez.
I echo the words that have been said. You're going to hear from the council member. You're going to hear from other elected officials. It's simple. I'm here representing the Puerto Rican Bar Association. As lawyers, we have a higher duty to remind this country that what's going on in Arizona is anti-American. We are using the law to castigate a group of people because they look different, because they sound different, because somehow we presume that they're less than citizens. I want to commend everyone who is here, particularly when you have not felt the sting of being stopped because you have been profiled. Profiling is not just an Arizona issue. It happens here, it happens in this state, and all of us are raising our voices to say what is going on in Arizona must be confronted. It must be done peacefully, but it must be done so that the rest of the country knows that in New York, regardless of where we came from, what color our skin, what language we speak, we stand together for one basic ideal, that the law is intended to protect us. It's not intended to harm us. Thank you.